My poor dad was what society would consider an student, class valedictorian and class president. He loved school. He graduated with a 4-year degree from the University of Hawaii in only 2 years. He also attended Stanford University, the University of Chicago, and Northwestern University. My rich dad never even finished the 8th grade. His father died, so he had to take over the family business. Although his formal education was limited, he would eventually become one of the richest men in Hawaii. My poor dad and my rich dad were polar opposites. Both were very good men, but they never did see eye to eye. Looking back, I can see how my time with my rich dad gave me an advantage in life, especially when it came to money. Between the ages of 9 and 18, until I left for school in New York, I spent 1 or 2 days a week after school and 2 Saturdays every month working for free for Rich Dad. Rich Dad never paid his son or me with money. He paid us in training us to be capitalists. He didn't pay us because he didn't want to train us to be employees who work for money. He was training us to be employers, entrepreneurs, capitalists who had other people's talent and other people's money working for them. Rich Dad didn't pay me because he didn't want me to think like an employee. He felt the rest of the world would teach me to think that way. In other words, he was training me to think differently about money, which was priceless. He didn't tell his son and me what to do. He gave us choices. Rather than telling me to look for a job, my rich dad encouraged me to think like an entrepreneur and instead looking for opportunities. With that advice, I did many things to make money. For example, on Saturdays, I would be up at 5 o'clock in the morning to surf with my friends. Since the surf is usually better in the morning, I would then go to the rich dad's office and work for him for a few hours to earn money. I would then go to a golf course in the afternoon and work as a caddy, carrying a golf bag for 9 holes for $1. It was only a 9-hole course, so I could make $2 by carrying 2 bags. I could make more on a Saturday afternoon than the weekly allowance my parents gave me. On the top of that, I got in shape for a football season. By looking for opportunities rather than a job, Rich Dad was training me to look at the world as an entrepreneur rather than an employee. Rich Dad said, "You never want a paycheck." Obviously, Rich Dad's ideas about work to learn, not to earn, angered my poor dad, who was more of a socialist than a capitalist. When I was young, I would ask my teachers, isn't the reason for getting a job to make money? If money is the objective of getting a job, why not get right to the point and just teach us about money? My question was never answered. The fact that money isn't taught in school, it leaves so many people, especially in today's economy, struggling when it comes to their finances. The sad reality is that for many young people in America, their first expenses are rent, food, transportation, and entertainment. If they don't have the money, some moms and dads give them the money they need. This does little to increase their financial intelligence. Many get married and start a family in their 20s and 30s, and when the first child arrives, so do more expenses. And as most parents know, children become more expensive with age. When children arrive, my parents are forced to grow up. By the time they are in their late 30s, most young couples are trapped in the rat race of life. Life becomes a scramble to earn enough money to cover increasing expenses, with most people living paycheck to paycheck. I knew at a young age that I didn't want to wind up in the same cycle that I saw my parents living. That is why I embarrassed learning all that I could about money from my rich dad. When I was 19, my rich dad purchased his red hotel right on Waikiki Beach. In 10 years, his light green houses had become a giant red hotel. At the game, I did not realize how profoundly the game of Monopoly and my rich dad's education would change the direction of my life. Rich Dad was using a game, Monopoly, to train me to think like a capitalist. I learned more, retained more, and wanted to learn more from the experience of Monopoly as a kid, and applying what I was learning to the experience of collecting rent for Rich Dad. These lessons are locked in my brain. When I have a Bachelor of Science degree from a grade school, I do not remember much of what I learned during those 4 years. For example, I remember taking 3 years of calculus, but I couldn't solve a math problem using calculus today. As the saying goes, use it or lose it. I would need calculus if I were a rocket scientist, but I do not need calculus to be rich. Elementary level math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division will do. The difference between those who find it to be the best of times and those who find it to be the worst of time is simply knowledge and financial IQ. The great failure of our education system is that it doesn't teach people about how money really works, and what it does teach is antiquated and obsolete. The old rules of money, they teach you how to balance a checkbook, but they do not teach you how to grow a balance sheet or even read one for that matter. They teach you to save your money, but they don't teach you about inflation and how it steals your wealth. They teach you how to write a check, but they don't teach you the difference between assets and liabilities. One wonders if the system is intentionally designed to keep you poor. If a person has no financial education, they cannot process information. They do not know the difference between an asset or a liability, capital gains or cash flow, fundamental investing or technical investing, why the rich pay less in taxes, or why debt makes some people rich and most people poor. They do not know a good investment from a bad investment or good advice from bad advice. All they know is to go to school, work hard, pay taxes, live below your means, buy a house, get out of debt, and die poor. As the Bible states, my people perish from a lack of knowledge. Today, millions are perishing because all they have been trained to do is send their money to the rich and to the government. That is not education.